Hey guys, welcome to episode number 1 of the Derby Career Mode Live, and to start off this episode we are about to start this career mode off. I've just done the manager customization. I've had to do a few updates to the squad because of the transfers not being up to date, and that is one thing that we are going to go through in this episode. So let's go straight into this with Derby County, of course. We're going to put the negotiation strictness on strict, and even on these settings the only real restrictions it gives you is basically you can't sign players from rival clubs. Other than that, it's pretty much like loose. There's not much to it. You can actually set how much money you want, which I think is quite a nice addition, but we're going to disable that. Just keep the I think it was about 10 million that we got in $10 million. I'm going to disable international job offers because I'm just never interested in that. We may look at that in the future. I might put it on ultimate, I think, just to make it a little bit more interesting, just to make it difficult, of course. But I think other than that, that's pretty much everything set up there. We do have the stadium to edit, so let's just quickly find the one that looks most like Derby County Stadium. It's a little bit like it, but yeah, it's kind of annoying that the Foot Stadium editor wasn't added to career mode. I think that would have been a really nice addition. I think the World Stadion is what I usually go for, but maybe it's Sanderson Park, actually. I think that's the one. There it is. Yeah, that's... You're not going to get 100% right. So it's one of those where you kind of pick it and choose in which kind of looks a little bit more, and I think just about Sanderson Park does look a little bit better, so we're just going to rename that. Hopefully it all works. But there is one issue that we're going to have to go over in a minute, but for the time being, let me just put these names into the stadium, apply and exit, and head straight into it. So we do have the pre-season tournaments. I think what I'll do is probably just simulate these. I've never really enjoyed playing the pre-season tournaments. I'm not too sure the benefit to them, but let's go straight into the... Should we go into the office? Yeah, let's go into the office first, see what messages we've got, of course. Pre-season tournament, not bothered about that. Transfer market information. You do obviously get a youth academy now from the start of the career mode, so I think that's a great new addition. So let's go straight over there and have a look. Yeah, we know all that stuff. But yeah, here's our youth academy. So what I quite like about this year's save is Derby's team is quite young indeed, and this guy, Lorenzo Baker or Baker, 5-star skills and 65 rated, which is pretty good actually. So I think we've got a really good little youth academy here that we can always look to if we don't have all the players needed in the first team squad. Here are our objectives for the season. Then we do have pretty easy objectives in the general tab. It's just reach the round of 32, gain promotion from the championship, and fight for promotion this season. On the development tab, sign 2 defenders from the youth academy. That's pretty doable. Within 2 seasons, have at least 1 player from the youth academy signed to the first team, play 50% of the games of the next season. Again, that future star guy, I think he'll be quite easily doable for that, if he can get into the 80 rated kind of thing. In the past, I've not really looked at using the youth, just because I've not really been a fan. I prefer using actual real players, and since Derby have got quite a few youth players in this year's save, I think it'll be quite interesting. On top of that, we do have start at least 4 academy graduates in the starting 11s. That means every single game that we do play in this career mode, we have to have at least 4 players that have come through the Derby County Academy in the starting 11. So I think that'll be quite an interesting one when we get into quite a few fixtures. Obviously fitness will get lower, maybe we'll have to use another 4 different youngsters than just Bird, Knight, Sibley and like Buchanan or Whittaker or something. There'll be a lot of youth involved this season, which will make it a lot more difficult in the fixtures, of course. So on top of that, we do have get at least 250 appearances with youth academy players. That means that on top of the 4 players that start every game, obviously that's like 46, we'll call it 50 appearances if you include the cup, of course. 50 appearances for those 4. So that's 100 and 200. Is that about right? Yeah, about 200. 50 times 4, Luke. That's 200. There you go. So on top of those 200, you got to get another 50 from somewhere. So that'll make it quite interesting, just to see where those youth players come in and get appearances. onto brand exposure then, we do have signed one first-team player signed to the forward position. Now this is the interesting part. The transfer window isn't actually closed in real life yet, so we've got another 14 days, because the transfer window does technically close on the 15th within England. So for example, if we loaned a Premier League striker, that could happen on the 15th of October. So it's a little bit of a different year. I'm not too sure. Let me know in the comment section down below. Do I continue this career mode and ignore what's happening in real life, or do I wait until January, bring in whoever we bring in, because we're going to bring in a striker at some point. So yeah, I want to know, do we make signings in this first transfer window, or do we just stick with the squad that we currently have? On top of that, we do have signed no players over the age of 25, just in terms of like the exposure of the club. I think financially it's quite a clever thing to do not to have any players over the age of 25, so I think putting that little target in, I think that's quite a nice little thing to do. Moving on to financial then, we do have reduced the player wages by 27,000 a week. Don't know if that'll be doable, I'm not going to lie, that is a little bit of a difficult one. And make 10.8 million profit from youth player sales within 3 seasons. Now that's an interesting one, because obviously it means bringing in a youth player maybe in the first or second season and making that big profit. So I think just under 11 million is quite a bit of money. So that's going to be quite an interesting one to see if we can achieve that. Domestic success, we do have fight for promotion. We've gone through all those in the broad one. I'm not too sure why, like, they're exactly the same. I don't know why that overall overview tab is needed when it's just literally all just the domestic success. And then continental is it's not there, so yeah, we'll just back out of that. So yeah, I think we're getting off to a good start with those objectives. I think they're pretty doable. Let's have a look at the squad then for this season's career mode. I've actually done one transfer just to get the squad up to date to as much as I could possibly do. Unfortunately, Jordan Ibe isn't on the game at the minute, so it means that I'm going to have to, at some point, add him to it and get the second career mode save up to where we get to in this one, and basically do everything identical in terms of development and everything. So it's just a little bit frustrating, because he did actually sign over a week ago now, and they've just not updated the squads. But there will be a squad update within the next 2 or 3 days, maybe week. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, for the time being, there is no Jordan Ibe. But I have got Bobby Duncan from Fiorentina. He is 59 overall, but has got a very good potential. So obviously youth will be a big factor this season. We've also got Hector Ingram, Wassell's son, Bateman. Idem in goal is quite an interesting one. I'm surprised that we got him in this youth academy. Jacob Brown as well, really versatile. I think he can play in midfield as well, so will be quite an interesting one. Does it show his height? I think he's like 6 foot odd. 5'11". I'm sure he's taller than that. I'm sure he's at least like 6'2", but nevertheless he is 5'11" on this game. Obviously we've got Bielik, who's been out injured for a long time indeed. Dwayne Holmes, Buchanan. I'm probably going to just put Buchanan in straight away. Let me just quickly do a little quick change of what I think the starting 11 will probably be. Something around that. Now obviously there's the new development plans where you can change a player's position. So we're going to put Rooney to a centre mid. That means he gets a little bit more, I want to say chemistry, because that's what it is on Ultimate Team. But basically that's the way it works now. You have to have players in the right position. And yeah, there's a good amount of players in this squad, and obviously because of one of the objectives that we do have this season, to play 4 youth academy players in the starting 11, we're going to have to put Jason Knight, Whittaker or somebody else into this team. So it's trying to get all these players in the team at the same time. Might have to drop Rooney. He's not been doing too well in real life, of course. So maybe that's one option. Maybe we put Rooney up front. Maybe that's another option. I'm not too sure. Let me just have a quick think. So I think one potential tactic that I'm going to look to use is this false 9. Obviously, this is what Liverpool have been using in real life, and that way it gives us a little bit more of a challenge. Obviously, we do have custom tactics. We can put like constant pressure on for the Gengen press. I'll just leave that on pressure on heavy touch for the time being. But like, I like the idea of not playing without a striker because of Rooney, Knight, Bird, Sibley. You've got, you know, those four have to be in the team in my opinion. Whereas a striker at the minute isn't that important, if that makes sense. There's not really a standout striker. Obviously, if Rooney runs out of stamina in one game, Dwayne Holmes could quite easily go there, I'm pretty sure. Waghorn could play that role quite well if we convert him to a centre forward, and that's one thing as well. You can just convert the strikers to centre forwards, give him that extra position. Obviously, Waghorn can go out on the wing as well. So I'm thinking this formation is probably the best for what we've got at the minute, because then it puts Rooney further up the pitch, obviously with very good shooting and composure, gets him into good positions. It gives Jozzy and Lawrence a chance to get some more goals, obviously out wide. I think Lawrence could probably, Lawrence could actually play there as well. So if we wanted to drop Rooney and get Whittaker in, maybe bring in a better defender or different midfielder, there's plenty of things we can do with this false nine. So it probably suits us best in terms of what the squad is at the minute, because we don't have that standout striker. So yeah, I think that's what we'll do for the time being. I think it's a pretty good squad, and I don't particularly need to make a signing if we do this. One thing I will do as well is probably put Bielickin at centre-back for wisdom. And then we just drop Curtis Davis. And that way, I think it suits us best, because obviously Holmes can go anywhere in the front three. Whittaker can do the same with Waghorn. And we could technically always move it to a 4-3-3. I just like the idea of using a false nine, because we do have a number of cams at the club, and we do have not that many strikers that are, you know, going to be starting. I think it's a little bit annoying that a couple of players don't have actual player faces. That's just one thing that I didn't, you know, you just can't really quite connect with the players when they haven't got a face. But yeah, Jacob Brown actually looks really decent, can play pretty much anywhere in the back four, so that would be quite good for squad depth, of course. Can literally just put him anywhere, and that way we can easily get those four academy players in the starting 11 without any issue. Quite interested to see how Nathan Byrne does this season. Didn't realise he had quite as much pace as he does. And of course, another formation that we did tinker with a little bit in pre-season was a kind of a 5 at the back formation. So let's have a quick look and see what that looks like with the current squad. It just means obviously we bring in a centre back and take out probably a midfielder. So that's probably what the 5 at the back would look like. I think Sibley probably wouldn't work in this formation. I think I'd prefer, you know, Bird to be the holding player and Knight to go further forwards, as a box to box, of course. And then it obviously keeps our wingers out wide and keeps the, you know, we do have a number of centre-backs at the club. We've got the 5 there, we've got the 3 here, plus those 2, that's 5. Evans can obviously play centre-back, Wassell, Bateman and Brown, you know. So I think we can either play the false 9 or we can play the 5 at the back. So let me know in the comment section down below what you guys prefer. I think for the time being we'll go for the false 9 just because it's slightly more unconventional, slightly more conventional than the unconventional 5 at the back. So obviously now we're going to go into our first day. So obviously one new feature to career mode is training. The way that it's done now is a lot more intense and a lot more precise. There's you know, you can't just go through it in I don't know, it's a little bit random in the past. I think it's a lot more realistic now, but I think this is the settings that I'm going to go for: rest day, recovery day after the game, and a weekly plan of intermittent training. Obviously we can change this if there's not many fixtures and stuff like that, just add a few more training days, or maybe if the squad's a little bit low on fitness, we'll just put a rest day. So yeah, I really like this new thing because it just gives you a little bit more control on what you want to do on the career mode. And yeah, one thing we'll go into now, I think, is probably, let's have a quick look at the academy again just to see what we've got, we don't actually have any defenders. So obviously, as one of the objectives is to sign defenders, we've got a lot of wingers here. Pretty much all wingers, other than 3 centre mids that I probably won't use. Like this guy, for example, only getting to a 78. When he starts as a 41, probably not going to be used. But I think pretty much all the wingers I'll look at some point. It's nice to have a winger that can play both sides. There's one that can play centre mid there. But this guy in particular, the Dutch Lorenzo Baker or Bakker, looks ridiculous and probably would be usable now if I really wanted to. But for the time being, I think we've got plenty of players in the squad. Let me know what I should do in terms of a first team quality striker. Should I bring in my own, or do I wait the next few days just to see what Derby do in the transfer window? We are linked to a couple of players. I will add those just to show you what potentially Derby might be signing. We do have a German striker called, was it Dursun? Yes, Serdar Dursun from Darmstadt. He does have 12 months left on his contract, and pretty much a target man. That's pretty much 6'3" and very strong indeed. And there was another one. What was his name? It was a really Junker. That was it. There we go. He scored I think it was 13 goals in 15 games. So he's pretty good indeed. Pretty fast as well. 6'1", left-footed. So we will add those to the transfer hub. And if you guys want me to sign the players that are realistic and are probably going to sign in real life, we'll have a look at those in a few days' time. But unfortunately, I'm pretty sure Junker signed in January. So that's a little bit annoying. We might have just to wait till January in the career mode if that's the case. But yeah, let's go into the squad hub, just to have a look at contract situations to see who's got what left. Because when you do start some of these earlier, obviously we've got a number of players out on loan as well. Scott Malone, Mitchell and Carson. Might be another one. Oh, and Mitchell Lawson, of course. Be interested to see how he grows out on loan. See if he gets some development. And it's interesting that you can actually approach to buy now on a player that's loan. So I think that's one thing I'll probably look to do at the end of this season, is to sign Matt Clark on a permanent, because obviously he's been on loan here for the last couple of years. I think bringing him on a permanent would be a really good thing to do. Now, another new thing that's been added to career mode. There's so much stuff to do now, which I quite like about career mode. Development plans. So let me just go. Let's just start from the goalkeeper. Why not? And we'll literally go through all these and have a look at what you can do. So, not much to do with a goalkeeper. You can basically keep him as balanced, or stick him to a goalkeeper or sweeper keeper. I think we'll just keep him balanced, because then obviously it develops all of their stats. So let's just go through all the goalkeepers that we have at the club. Pretty good, first team and backup goalkeeper. They're quite good quality, of course. Now that we've moved into an actual outfield player, what I'll probably do for most of the fullbacks, I think, when I was on the beta, was it attacking fullback? I think it was attacking wide back, yeah. That pretty much helps them. Obviously, pace is quite a big factor. That's, something that I'd like to improve. And stamina as a fullback, of course, although all of them pretty much increase stamina. But yeah, we'll keep him as attacking wide back for now. You can, of course, change the position of these players if you want to go to a left wing back, or maybe move into a left mid. But it seems that Lee Buchanan's quite accurate in terms of he's not a left back that can go to a left mid, because he is so defensive. But he can move to right back or centre back, so I do quite like that. Jordan Brown, I'm tempted to move him to a CDM position or a centre mid position, because I think he's currently got 3, so I'm not too sure how it works with adding multiple positions. He's currently a left back but can play right back or centre back. But I would quite like to see him in the midfield, of course, in the future. But I might be tempted to move him to a right back just because we do have Lee Buchanan at left back. So I think, yeah, we'll just, for the time being, stick him to a right back. Again, go for that attacking wide back. Forsyth's probably just going to be a backup player this season, but we will just add him to the attacking wide back role. I think for centre backs we'll be playing ball-playing defenders. I think that pretty much does the best. It's interesting that Mike Twerik's been downgraded by like 3 ratings. He was a 71 on FIFA 20. Had a really good season at was it Groningen or whatever they're called, the Dutch team. And now they've downgraded him by 3, which I'm not too sure why, because he's not done anything to warrant a downgrade. Obviously, Matt Clark's a really good ball-playing centre-back. Will be one of our starters this season. Joe Bateman, I've not heard too much about. Obviously, not appeared too much in the first team. I don't think he's appeared at all in the first team. So we'll just stick him as a ball-playing defender. Actually, I might go defensive just to... Yeah, I think just for some of these youngsters that aren't going to be playing straight away, I think just making them really good defenders will probably be a good idea. Curtis Davis will go for that. Ethan Wassell. Bang. Wisdom I might make a centre-back. Do I make him a centre-back? I think it's quite easy to move him to centre-back. Yeah, 2 weeks. I think he has the option anyway, but that just makes it his primary position. So we'll do that for him. Nathan Byrne will go as an attacking wide back. See, because Graham Shinney's pretty much in his prime, it's going to take a very long time indeed to develop his position. So we could keep him as balanced, but I think we'll go. Do I increase his? A really good stamina on him. You know, 85 stamina is ridiculous when you really think about it. Probably could do an increase in his passing. We'll go deep line playmaker for him. Same with Max Bird. You know, just increase that passing, of course. Not the best of stamina. You know, 71 is okay. But it's one of those where it might be an issue when you get into quite a few fixtures. What we'll do with Bielik, of course, is move him to a centre-back. That'll only take a couple of weeks. George Evans, again, I think I'll move to a centre-back because I don't think he'll be featuring too much at CDM. Mainly as a centre-back in the cup competitions, probably. And then we've got Camille. Now, a bit of an interesting one, because obviously we've got no Ibe at the minute. I was ideally going to put Ibe on the right-hand side, and then Gozriak on the left. I think we could probably do it. Can we move him to a right winger? Yeah, we'll go to a right winger. Yeah. Or do I go a right mid? See, this is the interesting thing about it. Does it take... It's really interesting to see how the differences between a right midfielder and a right winger is, because at the end of the day they pretty much play in the same area in most formations. Since we're probably going to have to restart this career mode at some point anyway to put Jordan Ibe in, we'll go for a right winger just to make it interesting, of course. We'll go for a inverted wide midfielder just to increase that shooting. Shadow striker for Sibley. Obviously the one option I do have with Sibley is either move into a centre mid in that false 9, or we can move into a centre forward if need be. But I think he probably suits more of a centre mid position, but we'll keep him at cam for the time being. Rooney, I'm not too sure, because he's 34 now. It's one of those where he's only going to go down in stats, so I don't think training is going to be beneficial that much. But I think just because of the skill move, if we can get him to a 4-star skiller, that'd be quite interesting to see. And now because we're in this middle position of do we play Rooney at centre forward, or do we play him in a centre mid position role, which both take 2 weeks. So I think it would just keep him as a cam for the time being. That obviously facilitates both roles. Dwayne Holmes will go for a shadow striker as well, just to get that finishing up. Josephson, just whack him out as a winger. Now Jason Knight's probably one that I will position change to a centre mid. He can play there already, but we'll just make it his primary position, as that's where he'll mainly be playing. And I think because obviously when you do change a player to a different position, there's no actual point of changing what his growth is, because obviously when he moves in 7 weeks' time, his growth in whatever position, I don't know, maybe it is a good idea, just for a couple of weeks, just to get it up. Try and get him 3-star skills. We'll see if that works. Obviously, does it mean... so you can only put one plan at a time. So that's quite interesting. So you can't have growth and position at the same time. So I didn't actually realise that. So there's only one plan at one time. I think it's poacher. Yeah, poacher for strikers seems to be the best in terms of growth. Obviously we do have a number of strikers, but the problem is, Hector Ingram and Duncan aren't ready for first team football. Marriott's probably our only out and out proper striker, and obviously Waghorn can probably go out on the wing now, which he'll probably do, which is interesting because he can actually play left mid, right mid or striker, but when you want to change him on here, because he's 30, it's going to take 200 weeks, so there's not much point in changing his position if that's the case. And that's it. So we've gone through the entire squad now. We've set all these plans for the players. I think we're pretty sorted. Although, yeah, because obviously the one thing that I didn't realise that you can only do one plan at a time, we'll put Jordan Bryan back to a right back. Now let's go into the training day situations. Obviously because I've not done any of these training sessions, they're all going to get Ds. However, if I did decide to play these training situations, I could get them up to an A and simulate them at that stage throughout. But for the time being, we're just going to keep it to that, because I'm going to have to restart the save anyway in a couple of days' time. So there's no point in me playing these and then having to play them again in a few days' time. So yeah, it's a little bit frustrating that Jordan Ibe's going to be one brilliant player this season for us because of this system, I think. Because ideally, let me just hypothetically say Ibe is the... Let's just say Ibe's Whittaker, for example. That front three of Lawrence at the centre forward position with 4-star skills, that's basically Bobby Firmino, that is. And then obviously Jordan Ibe on the right-hand side. And then it probably means that Rooney... I just don't know what to do with Rooney because of his stamina at 66. It's not great. Although not much of the squad has great stamina, other than, it is annoying. But it's going to be interesting to see how we rotate the squad throughout the season, of course. And obviously the versatility of Lawrence and Kozwiak mean that they can play either wing quite easily. They're both right-footed, aren't they? Yeah. I think just because of the 4-star skills, I'll stick Lawrence on the left for the time being. I think that's what we'll probably do in real life as well. You can quick sim the training day sessions just by pressing R3, so that's a new addition that wasn't in the beta, so that's quite a nice little development just to make things go a little bit quicker. Captaincy, I've never really bothered about changing the captain. So it is Clark at the minute. I'm not too sure what difference it really makes. So we'll go for Rooney, of course, just because he is the captain in real life. It's kind of crazy, with all the players that did leave in the summer and everything. I think Forsyth's the only one that I've used in this career mode for more than a couple of seasons. Let's go simulate our first pre-season game. I'm just going to quick sim these just to get through them as quickly as humanly possible. We did lose the game 2-0 to Real Zaragoza, but as I said, I'm not too bothered about those extra funds that pre-season will give us, because as you can see, we have got 8.3 million plus the is it 93 or 32? 93. I don't know why I saw 32 from, but yeah, it's one of those where I'm not that bothered about getting an extra 3 or 4 million. We do have an early transfer offer here for Max Bird, who is going absolutely nowhere, even for that price at 2. Realistically, Bird's going to get to 85 potential probably. So I don't see why I would look to sell him. So we're going to reject that, and we're going to actually block it just so that no players can be sold in the future. Into our second pre-season game then. I think in this episode we'll probably just look to get through pre-season quite quickly, and then obviously in the next episode we can go into some games and really test out the squads. That'll be interesting to see. I do have a bit of an issue now. This is actually my first year on PC, and I'm not too sure why, but I can't hear the game audio, so hopefully the game audio isn't too loud for these episodes, for this first episode in particular, because I've not actually checked, so we'll have to wait and see. As you can see, we've only played a couple of games and already the squad is starting to really struggle with fitness, so I might need to look to just change a few players here and there. Obviously it'll just give a chance to rotate a bit. So there we go. I think we have been knocked out in the group stage of the pre-season tournament, so that'll probably be that summed up. In terms of signings, what you guys think I should do? Should I bring in the players that are linked to Derby in real life? We have got the scout reports here, so let's have a quick look at those. 72 rated for Durson, 79 strength's really good indeed. 80 finishing for a 72 rated player is actually ridiculous. And then Junker's obviously very pacey indeed, but I don't think we can sign him just because he has apparently only just moved there, but in real life did move in January. So yeah, now that we have finished pre-season, we have got our championship season to look forward to in a few days' time now. I think we have got Cardiff as our first fixture. It's quite interesting to see that you can actually look at the upcoming fixtures on the right hand side. Now it's going to be an interesting championship season, just in terms of, you've got your Watford and Bournemouth, who are probably going to be quite good on this save, just because of their squads. Overall, there's a lot of gold players in those teams, so it'll be interesting to see how we do against those teams. But we do actually kick off the championship season in July against Cardiff away from home, so a very good team indeed, very good defensively, and it'll be interesting to see how we do, of course. So yeah, let me know in the comment section down below on any transfers that we should be making. Obviously at the minute I've only got a couple, probably going to be a striker if we do make a signing, but I kind of want to wait to see what Derby do in real life, just to make it as authentic as possible. Obviously it's completely different to any other year because of the transfer window still being open when FIFA launches. Normally the transfer window's closed about a week ago. Yeah, hopefully you guys did enjoy this first episode. We'll get into that first game against Cardiff in the next episode tomorrow, probably around 4 PM. Make sure you do subscribe if you are new to the channel, leave a like, rate if you did enjoy it, and see you soon.